Hello everyone. First of all, let me thank you for your time. I'm Huyen and today I'm very glad to share you the historical information of the United States and Britain in terms of British and American studies, and I want to focus on the 19th century in this video. Firstly, we will looking at an overview of 19th century, then I make a comparison to figure out the similarity and difference between the United States and Britain. Finally, I have a mini game. So now look at the overview. The 19th century can be said that saw so much social change, especially the development of capitalism, the abolition of slavery in the world, and the Industrial Revolution brought the supreme power of economy, and last but not least was the growing influence of the British Empire, Russian Empire, Germany Empire, or the United States, and so on. So that's about the overview. So now let's move on to the comparison. My next slide shows the similarities. Both the US and Britain gradually growing their influence all over the world and became the world's leading power, had great position in the international arena, and because they were both powerful empire, they always carried the spirit of war and ambition to expand the territory. Another similarity is that slavery was abolished at the same century in both power, in England in 1833 and 1865 in the United States, shortly after the American Civil War from 1861 to 1865. This event also marked the end of slavery worldwide. But if it comes to the difference between Britain and the United States at this point, perhaps it's the difference between an old empire and a new one. During the century, Britain became the world's foremost economic power. This, together with long years of political inequality anywhere else in Europe, give the British a sense of supreme confidence, even arrogance about their culture and civilization. The British came to see themselves as having a duty to spread this culture and civilization all around the world. At the start of the century, Britain was locked in a war with France, during which an invasion of the country was a real possibility. Soon after the end of the century, it controlled the biggest empire the world had ever seen. Colonies spread across Asia, Africa, Europe, and Latin America. One section of the British Empire was Ireland, another part was made up of Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Another was India and a large part of Africa. In a big contrast, at the beginning of the 19th century, unlike the proud and powerful England, America was much more timid because at that time, the United States had just escaped the yoke of British domination in 1789 and went through the Civil War of 1865, so it was still healing the wounds left by the war. It can be said that the United States was on the side of caution because of the invasion of other empires, and not until the 1890s, a new spirit of expansion took hold. The Americans followed the left Northern European nations in exerting a new duty to civilize the peoples of Asia, Africa, and Latin America. When the war with Spain was over in 1898, the United States had gained a number of possessions from Spain like Cuba, the Philippines, Puerto Rico, and Guam. The another difference that can be considered as the turning point in America's gradual transformation from a colonial country to a leading world power. In the 1980 In the 1970s, the United States became a leading industrial power and through businessmen made great fortunes with the establishment of many giant monopolies that can dominate the economy and affect the whole world. Along with that, in the 70s, Britain was still a superpower, but due to the rapid development and great competition of emerging superpowers like the United States and superpowers like Russia and European nations, Britain lost monopoly position in the industry. Above are the similarities and differences that I have found. Hope they will be useful information for you. So now I have a mini game to review the content of this video for you. You can enter the code on the screen to join.
Girls, you must be independent. You must learn to drive and dress